Welcome back into The Drive on 99.9 The Fan. I'm Tim Donnelly, and joining us in studio, former NC State quarterback, longtime NFL quarterback, on game week for NC State, just a couple days away. Thursday night, they open their schedule in UCONN, or at UCONN, I should say. We have Mike Glennon here with us. Mike, starting the season, what's the team going through? What's it like to actually? I don't know if I ever did. Starting on the road is kind of an unusual deal. Going up to UConn, what are they going through?
I think it's just you're antsy, you're anxious, you just want to get out there. You've gone through a long training camp, going against the same people, and you just are excited to go play a real game, on TV, all that. But at the same time, these guys can't be looking forward to the next weekend. So it's that fine line of, containing your excitement for the following week with Notre Dame and just focusing on UConn, taking care of business, and then getting ready for Notre Dame.
By the way, Mike and I do host a podcast together. It's called Pack Therapy. You can find it everywhere podcasts can be found, also on our YouTube page at 99.9 The Fan. One of the things we discussed this week, and the episode should be coming out Wednesday morning. One of the things we discussed this week is that trap game element, which you kind of brought it up, right? You can't look forward to Notre Dame. Everyone, to a certain point, everyone's looking forward to Notre Dame. It's Notre Dame at home to open your home schedule. Instead of just, one of the frustrating things I hear is like, oh, just don't listen to the media, or don't read, don't pay attention to it. Like, you're going to hear it. It's going to seep in somehow. Same thing with a gigantic game like Notre Dame at home to open your home schedule. The cliche or the coaching thing is, 1-0, take it one day at a time. Don't think about Notre Dame. I think it's better to handle thinking about Notre Dame. It's there, you're aware of it, you know what's going on, but how do you handle not letting that creep into this week?
Yeah, it can be tough because there's so much excitement, so much buzz. But I think right now, kind of just back to the last question is, camp breaks, your school's back, the students are there. There's just a lot of excitement around the football season getting started. And it is cliche, but it is the truth that you got to take it one game at a time. But at the same time, you got to embrace it. Maybe you channel that energy that you have towards Notre Dame and, try to make a way to have that excitement as well for the opener.
There is an element of, if you lose this one, next week matters a lot less.
Right.
So you got to take care of business.
So
if you want next week to be awesome,
it.
This week has to be a solid performance. So solid performance, and we'll start with the offense. What are you looking for from Robert Anae's offense? What do you want Brennan Armstrong or Jordan Houston, or what are the things you're earmarking for this offense to do successfully?
Yeah, I'm just excited to see what this Robert Anae offense is going to look like. In the spring he talked about how he's going to tailor around his playmakers, and he didn't know what the offense was going to look like because he wanted to see who his playmakers were and how they were going to get them the ball. So now we're going to see it. How do they scheme up this offense? Are they using a lot of motions, shifts? Is there a lot of movement of guys around at different spots on the field? And then Brennan Armstrong. He comes in as a 6-year player from Virginia. It's been said a lot. 2 years ago, he was great. Last year, not so much. So who is he now? Who is he now that he's back in this offense? Can he be efficient? I just want to see him go out here and execute this offense that he was a part of for many years. He's done it plenty of times. And then finally, it's the receiver position. Who steps up? We see Casey Concepcion, kind of a surprise to see him early enrollee on with the first team offense. Is he going to be a player this year? Is it going to be Trent Penix? Who is going to step up in this first game?
And by the way, we're talking with Mike Glennon, former NC State quarterback, longtime NFL quarterback as well. Brennan Armstrong, the expectations are high, but also I think the range of outcomes are high, right? Do we expect the offense to be completely put on him the way it was at UVA in his final year with Robert Anae, where, we've talked about it. You hold the record for most attempts in a season at NC State. If he takes his per-game average over his last year at UVA and plays out the 13-game schedule, assuming they make a bowl, he'd break that record. So he's slung it around a bit. Do you expect Air Wolfpack?
I think that's to be determined, and I think that has a lot to do with the players around him. I think Robert Anae has full trust in Brennan that they could throw it almost every play and be that air raid offense. But I remember when I was in school and Dana Bible was offensive coordinator, I wanted more responsibility at the line of scrimmage to be able to check in and out of plays. And he said, I know you're capable of it. It's about the other 10 guys on the field. Are they capable of it? So are the other 10 guys on this offense capable of an air raid offense? I think that's more what it comes down to than it is about Brennan Armstrong.
Low-key saying your teammates weren't in their playbooks? Is that what was going on?
I think it was a little shot at that they're not as smart as you, and we play down to the dumbest player rather than the smartest player.
Speaking of high-level football, on Pack Therapy's podcast this week, we have Dan Orlovsky, who's one of the best players in UConn history, but you probably recognize him from being on your TV all the time for ESPN, breaking down football. So if you want to hear his input into his memories of playing against NC State when he was a Husky or this upcoming game, check it out on the Pack Therapy podcast. You can find it everywhere podcasts can be found, wherever you listen to your podcast. 15-point favorite, 85% on the ESPN matchup predictor, 85% in favor of NC State. Do you treat, and again, this is where the coaching cliche is going to say, nameless, faceless opponent, but do you treat it a little bit differently when you have the higher recruiting rankings, you have the more talent as far as raw ability, you have a 14-point favorite, or you wouldn't look at it that way, but like you should win this game. Does that treat anything differently?
I don't think so. I mean, at the end of the day, players aren't really concerned about the spread. They know that they should beat.
Definitely not nowadays. Don't even pretend like you check the spread. No apps on your phone, no friends' accounts. Let's just get that out of the way.
But they know they need to take care of business. I mean, this is a team that NC State handled pretty easily last year, but then after that, UConn kind of turned their season around and made a bowl game. So it's not like they're kind of the UConn of the past 5 years or so, prior to the second half of last year. This is a team that finished the season strong. They got some energy. They got some juice with Jim Moore Jr. as their head coach. So they can't take them lightly. I mean, you never want to look over a team, especially a Division I team. I mean, and if we are talking the spread, 14, 15 points isn't that crazy. I mean, we see.
Yeah. You see like the 44.5 points for like Georgia over some directional Michigan.
Right.
Which this is not. And you shouldn't treat it that way for sure, because UConn was a bowl game or a bowl team last year, and they're returning some talent. Before we let you go, Friday morning you wake up. What's the number one thing that needs to happen in order for you to wake up with a spring in your step, going into week one of college football, and you're thinking of your Wolfpack and getting ready for Notre Dame and all those things? Is there? And I'm actually gonna make this more difficult for you. Non-Brennan Armstrong edition, because I think so much of the spotlight is there already. What else is there?
First of all, I mean,
and we haven't even talked about
Friday
the defense,
morning,
really.
and you just had some games on Thursday night. There's probably some games on Friday night. Full slate Saturday, Sunday, Monday. I mean, it's a great FSU,
weekend.
LSU
on Sunday, Clemson, Duke on Monday. There's a lot.
So
going
that's
on.
what I'll be thinking about. But from an NC State standpoint, as they get ready for this Notre Dame game week, is who steps up at receiver. If I feel good about really just either them as a whole or one or two of them really stepping up. And then I think it's about the guys up front, because I know Notre Dame has a great front seven on both sides of the ball, some great offense linemen. So physically, how does this team look, and will they be able to physically match up with Notre Dame?
If you want more on the NC State UConn season opener, check out Pack Therapy podcast, found everywhere podcasts can be found. Wherever you listen, check it out. The UConn game edition will be dropping in time for your commute on Wednesday morning. Dan Orlovsky on the show. Mike, appreciate you for stopping by.
Always, Tim.